Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we are diving into a report that smells like a big transformative deal, so buckle up. And before we jump in, if you like getting the real story behind corporate moves without the corporate jargon, hit that subscribe button. Also, our Discord community is linked below. Come hang out with us. Alright, so what we've got here is the big news from Occidental Petroleum Corporation announced on the 1st of October 2025. They re-pulling off a massive sale, and we're going to break down exactly what that means for them and for us as observers of the corporate world. Occidental Petroleum, or Oxy as you might know them from their stock ticker, they've made a pretty significant announcement. They're selling a huge chunk of their business. Think of it as Occidental saying, you know what, we're going to really focus on our core energy business and let someone else handle our chemical division. This report is essentially their official announcement of a major agreement. It is called a purchase and sale agreement, and it is between their subsidiaries Occidental Chemical Holding, which we'll call OCH, and Environmental Resource Holdings, or AIR, and the buyer, none other than Berkshire Hathaway Incorporated. Yes, Warren Buffett's company is buying part of Occidental. So what exactly is Berkshire Hathaway buying? They are acquiring all of Occidental Chemical Corporation, or OCC, which is basically Occidental's entire chemical business, also known as OxyChem. This is a huge deal. The price tag is a cool $9.7 billion in cash. Now this isn't just a flat 9.7 billion. It's subject to some adjustments, like how much cash the business has on hand, how much debt it holds and changes in its day, to day operating money, but the headline number is $9.7 billion. OxyChem is described as a big global maker of everyday chemicals used in so many things like water treatment, medicines, healthcare, and building stuff. Now, the agreement itself is packed with all sorts of legal language. It has what they call representations and warranties. Basically, Och and Air are promising Berkshire Hathaway that certain things are true about OxyChem. They have to tell them stuff about the business and how it operates, and they're doing this with some qualifiers about materiality, which means they're talking about important stuff. Berkshire Hathaway is also making promises with similar material qualifiers. There are also covenants, which are promises to do or not do certain things. For example, OCI has to run OxyChem like they normally would, and can't make big changes without Berkshire Hathaway's okay between now and when the deal closes. They also have to work together to get all the necessary approvals from regulators. And then there is the indemnity part. This is where Och agrees to protect Berkshire Hathaway from certain problems that might pop up. This includes things like liabilities that OxyChem had before the sale, any inaccuracies in the promises made, breaches of agreements, and some tax-related issues. Air, on the other hand, is keeping the environmental liabilities for OxyChem's old sites, and has also agreed to cover those for Berkshire Hathaway. But this deal isn't done yet. It has got to meet a bunch of conditions. First off, they need the green light from antitrust regulators, specifically under the Hart-Scott-Rodino Antitrust Improvements Act. That's to make sure this sale doesn't create a monopoly or hurt competition. They also need other regulatory approvals, and there can't be any laws or court decisions stopping the sale. Both sides also have to make sure their promises in the agreement are true, and that they've done everything they were supposed to do. The deal also has a deadline. If it is not closed by the 30th of March 2026, either side can walk away, but there is a potential 90-day extension if they still working on getting those regulatory approvals. When the deal actually closes, there will be other agreements in place. There is going to be a transition services agreement. This means that for a while after the sale, Occidental will still provide some services to OxyChem, and OxyChem will provide some services back to Occidental. It is basically a way to make sure the business keeps running smoothly during the handover. There is also a remediation management agreement. This sounds like it is about managing cleanup projects at old sites, and Occidental might still be on the hook for some of that. And importantly, Occidental itself, the parent company, will sign a guarantee. This means Occidental is personally backing up the promises and responsibilities of its subsidiaries in this deal. So, this purchase agreement is the main document outlining this massive sale. It shows Occidental is serious about streamlining its operations and focusing on its core oil and gas business, while Berkshire Hathaway sees value in OxyChem's chemical operations. Now, like most big corporate announcements, this comes with a section about forward-looking statements. This is where they tell you about their hopes and expectations for the future, but they also warn you that things might not turn out exactly as planned. They list a whole bunch of risks and uncertainties that could affect the outcome of this deal. They mention things like whether they can actually close the deal if all the conditions will be met, and the possibility that regulatory approvals might be delayed or not happen. There is also the risk that all this deal talk might distract management from running the current business, or that the deal might not bring the expected benefits. They also point to broader economic conditions, their debt levels, commodity prices, competition, and even global events like wars and political changes as potential disruptors. They also highlight health, safety, and environmental risks, which for a chemical company are pretty significant. Plus, there are always risks related to lawsuits, government investigations, and even cyber attacks. It is a long list, and it is important to remember that these are all potential roadblocks that Occidental has to navigate. And finally, the report is signed off on the 3rd of October 2025 by Nicole E. Clark, who holds a few important titles including Vice President, Chief Compliance Officer, and Corporate Secretary. Now, let's put on our Warren Buffett hats and look at this from a value investor's perspective. Occidental is essentially shedding a major division for a hefty sum of cash. This $9.7 billion is a significant injection of capital. What does it mean? Firstly, it dramatically strengthens Occidental's balance sheet. They can use this cash to pay down debt, invest in their core oil and gas exploration and production, or return capital to shareholders through buybacks or dividends. Given that Occidental has historically carried a significant amount of debt, especially after major acquisitions, reducing that burden is a huge positive for financial stability and reducing interest expenses. Secondly, it signals a strategic shift. Occidental is doubling down on what it considers its core competencies in the energy sector. This might mean a renewed focus on efficiency, cost reduction, and perhaps exploration in promising new fields. It also suggests they might be less exposed to the cyclicality and regulatory pressures faced by the chemical industry, or perhaps they see better opportunities for growth and profitability in their energy assets. Now, what about Berkshire Hathaway? Buying OxyChem for $9.7 billion. Subject to adjustments means they're re-betting on the future of the chemical industry. OxyChem is described as a global manufacturer of commodity chemicals. This means they produce chemicals that are widely used and their prices can be quite volatile, often tied to energy prices and global demand. Berkshire Hathaway has a history of buying solid cash-flowing businesses, and they likely see long-term value in OxyChem as established operations and market position. They are probably looking at integrating it into their existing conglomerate of diverse businesses, potentially finding synergies or simply benefiting from its steady cash generation. The risks are plentiful, as Occidental itself points out. The economic environment plays a huge role. If there is a global recession, demand for chemicals could plummet, impacting OxyChem's profitability. Interest rate changes can affect the cost of capital for both companies. Geopolitical events can disrupt supply chains and impact raw material costs. For Occidental, the risk lies in whether divesting OxyChem truly allows them to thrive in the energy sector, or if it leaves them more vulnerable to the inherent volatility of oil and gas prices. For Berkshire, the risk is that the chemical market faces an unexpected downturn, or that OxyChem's growth prospects are not as robust as anticipated. From a strategic standpoint, Occidental is making a bold move to de-risk by selling a significant, albeit potentially profitable, business. This aims to simplify their structure and improve their financial flexibility. Berkshire Hathaway, on the other hand, is making a large cash-heavy acquisition, demonstrating confidence in both OxyChem's business and its own ability to manage and grow it. In conclusion, this is a really interesting strategic maneuver. Occidental is shedding a big part of its business for substantial cash, which should significantly improve its financial health and allow for a sharper focus on energy. Berkshire Hathaway is making a major bet on the chemical sector, likely seeing a stable cash-generating asset that fits well within its diverse portfolio. The success of this deal will hinge on effective execution, favorable market conditions, and how well each company navigates the inherent risks outlined in the report. What is your take on this massive deal? Will Occidental's focus on energy pay off? And is Berkshire Hathaway getting a great deal on OxyChem? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this deep dive valuable, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Don't forget that Discord link in the description. Come join the conversation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.